first SAT math section that I ever took, I made so many mistakes and I barely got over 600. Now, I thought I had aced it. I thought I actually did really well. I understood most of the problems. I might have not understood one or two, but I knew that I actually understood like the main concepts and I thought that I would do well. Now, I made a bunch of careless mistakes, and while going over them, I realized that I did know the work, I did know the algebra, but I just made simple mistakes while doing the math that completely tanked my score. And I knew that the fact that I continued to make the mistake over and over again meant that I had continued to mess up in this one area and I needed to change something that didn't specifically have to do with the concept. Hi, I'm Karthik, and these are SAT math concepts that are going to instantly boost your score. So here's the first concept, explicitly writing the algebra down. Now, I used to do problems in my head and I thought they were so easy, right? I was just explaining to you before, I had completely tanked an SAT math section that I actually thought I did really well in. Now, if I want to optimize myself and I want to figure out exactly what I did wrong, I need to explicitly write down the algebra. And not only will those help you solve problems that you did incorrectly before, but doing them during the test, even while you're trying to fully understand what it means, will completely help you, right? If you do the algebra correctly, but you mess up in the structure of the problem, you must explicitly write the algebra down because that is going to prevent your mistake. Now, a recent example of a student I had who make this mistake, I'll go into the next problem, right, was in this problem right here. Now, you can pause it and take a moment to read the problem. But the issue here was, I instantly saw 35 feet and my student did too, and they instantly saw 5 and 7, right? That has to be the dimensions. So 5 and 7, and the regular mirror has width 3 feet and 5 feet. Oh, so plus 2, that means x equals 2. Well, that's actually incorrect, right? That was the mistake my student made. They thought it would equal 2, but if you clearly look at the problem here, you'll see x feet on both either ends of the width, right? So it actually means the width is 3 plus 2x, right? And when I explicitly wrote down the algebra, it made so much more sense because it's 3 plus 2x equals 5 and 5 plus 2x equals 7. So x is actually equal to 1 and it's not equal to 2, right? You can mess up very easily by doing these things in your head. The SAT is designed to make you mess up like that. You must write down the algebra explicitly. And as you get so much better at it, it'll automatically come to you and it'll become so much faster. Here's the second concept, defining combined variables. Now, it might be hard in your head to see what combined variables means. And when I go into the next slide and show you the question, it will make so much more sense what I mean about combined variables. But in those type of questions where you see, this is a type of like rate at which this is happening and this is how many hours it is happening, those two variables might actually not both be variables, right? Let's say I make $60 for every paper I sell, and you'll see I borrowed that exactly from the question that you're going to see, right? The value of the number of papers I sell might be 5, right? But how much money I get paid for every paper might be a variable. So when you combine those, what does it actually mean, right? So defining individual terms, which normally in the question, it'll define all of them, but sometimes it won't. And that's where it tries to confuse you. And then after you know every individual term, combine the terms and see what it actually produces, what it actually means. And when you combine the terms, you'll actually understand fully what it's talking about. Now, here's an example of that. Pause the video and try to read this question. So a school club is paid $315 for recycling C pounds of aluminum cans and P tons of paper. Immediately, we know that pounds of aluminum cans is C, tons of paper P, right? But the equation, right? 0.50C and 60P, we don't know what 50 and 60 explicitly means. They don't tell us, right? But if we look at the end there, we see 315. And where else do we see 315? How much the school club is paid. So we know 315 is the pricing. And then we know 50 cents and 60, right? We know that's money, right? Because what else could that be if I only have pounds? So we know that 60 is actually how much we get paid per ton of paper, right? Because if I had 1 ton of paper, P is 1, then I know that 60 has to be the amount of money that I get for 1 ton of paper. And both of those have to add up to a monetary value, 315, which means it has to be money. So what is the interpretation of 60P in this context, right? We know tons of paper. We know what 50 and 60 actually equals to. So what is 60p? So the amount of money per pound, per tons of paper, and how many tons of paper, if I multiply those values, then I get just how much money I get from all the paper in general, right? So you can instantly figure out what the answer choice is, right? It's how much money I'm getting per, like, the, or not even per, for the total amount of paper recycled, right? So explicitly defining the terms helps us so much. Now, concept 3. This is arguably like one of the most important concepts within like the math part of this. So understanding the concept behind the question. So which of the following was equivalent to 9 to the power of 3/4? So if you don't even understand how fractional exponents work, right? That the bottom exponent is like the square root and the top exponent is the power. And you can do that either within the number itself or outside of the cube or the square root, then how are you expected to understand what even this is about, right? If you don't even know this concept, how are you able to even like answer this question, right? So you need to identify exactly what you don't know during practice, right? When you practice the SAT, when you grade yourself and you didn't understand the question at all, leave a little mark to it. So when you go back to review it, you knew that you didn't know that question at all, right? And you need to externally learn that concept. You need to consult either a person who knows the concept or Khan Academy or any other free online resource. There's so many, and you can learn the concept wherever you want to. But essentially, you have to learn the concept. How are you going to learn anything like just magically just by looking at it and picking the right one and sorting it out? You need to learn the concept. You can instantly boost your score tomorrow by just learning a couple of concepts that you didn't know that were on the SAT. The most important concept, right? I said the last one was the most important one math wise, but this is the most important concept in all of SAT prep is you have to apply the skill. All the things that I told you, you could apply in your next prep session tomorrow. If you don't use them, then this video is effectively useless. Now, I want you to commit to using these methods, right? Promise yourself today or tomorrow or the day after, the next time you do SAT prep, you're going to actually use these methods. I want to see you use these methods and instantly improve your score by a significant amount. Maybe you improve your score 50 to 100 points just by learning 3 things that were on 9 different questions on the SAT. So commit to using these methods and you'll actually see a score boost. Now, I have free SAT prep that I offer to anybody, and I've just reopened that due to high demand for my service. So apply in the link in description if you're interested. And thank you guys so much. I hope you learned something.